Hi, everyone. This is Julie Carr, and I'm speaking to you from Denver, Colorado. We're going to be reading um, as Counterpath Press, Friends of Counterpath Press, and the person who would be starting is Robert Yerachmiel Snyderman, but he couldn't read today because he is ill, unfortunately. So I'm going to be reading for him, and he sent some things for me to read. So I'll begin with that. It's good to be here, and thanks so much to Ghazal and all the other organizers. Sorry. There it is. So Robert wanted to dedicate this reading to the One Democratic State Initiative, a Palestinian political endeavor for one secular democratic state from the river to the sea. The first poem is by the late Iraqi poet Rahad Abdul Qadi, and which is translated by Mona Karim. And the poem is called Weavers. Ancient and new, there is no difference between one cloud and another. They're all clouds, black and white. No difference, no difference, the same. Green hope and dark green disappointment. Open window and closed window. Steel and air, no difference, no difference. The same, before rain or after rain, with or without sun, with the greenness of hope or the greenness of disappointment, with or without dialogue, without life or death, no difference, except for this unseen thread, whether it is woven by the ancient or the new, it is all weave, and they are all weavers. The next pieces that I'm going to read are fragments of a cycle of poems that Robert Snyderman wrote sometime between October 23rd and August 24th in Berlin. The name Dirar Kalash which is named in one of the poems. This is a Palestinian composer, multi-instrumentalist, and sound artist, and a friend and collaborator of Robert's. There are two gestures in the Parsha this week that feel in my lazed reading to be of something I can speak to. First, this one from Numbers on the treatment of corpses. The evacuations, because N will. I hand her the napkin. Is immeasurable. Blot, she wanted. To the passports. Caption, soldier set itself on fire. Tidal forest walks out of me in the winter when it's over in the repaired synagogue in Rafah along the Landwehr Canal. Last Shabbat in 5783, time to say Chenozid on the full train, to myself on the full train, retained sprinting, if everyone I know by a regime, these are of the speaking, of this is the flesh. I long to see how much I have after what I have has been taken from you. Leaning like banished students up the river, listening to the shriek of the sower. I was asked to write definitively whose septicemia is chests, whose ear is mouths. At this location, no books will help you. Dirar is from Kafir Kari. At this location, there is no transliteration of the Arabic. Whose mouth is ears? I was asked to write definitively. I sing to listen to how much I have, after what I have has been taken from you. Listen like banished students to the shrieking sower whose ear is mouths. To the river, I was asked to write definitively after what I have has been taken from you at this location in Kafir Kari. And I think I'll leave it at that and pass it to Yanara Friedland.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and to the organizers of this event for allowing us to be in a form of solidarity with Palestinians everywhere, and particularly in Gaza. I will read from two texts, and the first one is called The Book of Sleep by Haitham Al-Wadani, in English translation by Robin Mojer. And the second piece is from a text that I wrote over the last year, notes that are called Planetary Rupture. So this is from the Book of Sleep. A bond of unrelation. In the brotherhood of sleep, all sleepers are equal. Their experiences, their selves, their memories, all are dispersed equally among them. Even their unshareable absence is held in common. Sleep proposes another kind of community, a community that does not define the group in terms of its members' presence, but as the product of shared absence, a bond of kinship that connects all those who have departed, or rather, if the expression holds, a bond of unrelation. The brotherhood is not confined to sleepers. It is not strong enough to exclude, but includes all those who cross sleep's frontiers. Places, things, and the dead also cross this frontier in the course of their departures. Likewise, the passing hours and the suffering that lie ahead. A teeming host marching down the avenue of escape. But where does it go? The host has no plan. All it wants is to extend and spread, haphazard, a dust cloud which enfolds all those that pass. It includes the excluded, not to make them present, but so they might continue drawing away. From Planetary Rupture. It was always about trying to find out how to live, of position, exacting or not, of a place in the womb's gutter. It was a bridge between dreaming and living, of what it means to exist at all, and to question the forms inherited, to question the forms assumed, the suits of naval, sound superiority. It was a longing for another rightness, one so far from this one it kept itself caught and swinging. It kept its mouth wide open, and language a bit improbable. Translation attempts, never mind. To write, to gaze into the mouth, a reverse sight moving down rectally, an approach to a rightness that squirmed at such thought. To coax and leave the words out to dry. Many clouds now passing from image to town, sight to tree, a lot at once. To love so much, to leave a place and arrive in another, from a dimness, lonely to tone. To not remember is to not know where you are. Fellow feelings, enemy feelings, horseradish all over the floor, and the fly in the room refuses the door. You recite your name until it is no longer your name. You accept all accusations as true. The cherry tree had cancer, the sweetest cherries. You expect the day to become older. You refuse the invitation. The lie has passed from mouth to mouth, a pit, the miraculous stone without flesh. Premonition, hindsight, turning points, not seeing the dead but sensing them. Words like ice cubes melt before dissolving into weather. Ancient plasma from the ricocheting navel of heaven shape a bone. I did not know why I could task myself with the message but not its meaning. Water keeps coming to cool the hotter parts. I notice that though more care was pronounced, less and less was experienced. The body behaves oddly, lying down, signing the carpet with weight, so limited and metered for survival. Men, my caution around men. Women, my caution around women. A practice of variations. My dear, there is no prayer against death. Echo, the nymph that spoke too much, gave the water limits, a status of secrets. How to surface, speak. Occupation is a method, a procedure. Ashes, brilliant and bold and swirling, riotous laughter from the petals, participation of butterflies. The gate swings open and closes. Ghosts are a method of planetary rupture. Through pause, its own existence, the sound. Through pause, its own flight, each moment agape. Knowledge coming into you unasked, to shape against empty forms, forceless, stolen, to sit in the grass at night by sluggish water, towards the sun, text disappearing. Thank you.
I'm Gillian Conley, and I would like to thank all the organizers and especially Counterpath. And it's nice to be here. I'm going to read from two different series of poems. One is a series called Peace, from a book that's also titled Peace, and the other series is a new series of poems that are, I'm calling them the war poems. Peace. It fell of noon, weather-like, as in a poem, the sudden action of a single word. You know, people, once you tell them something, they start talking. Smells of sweat deep in sportful fields, eyes opened and were thrilled, or soothed and sustained. We had won. Cars passed along streets, in bright difference and decay. Peace. In argument, context shivers the trigger words. Before munitions, oil extracted from the cotton makes the town smell sweet. No corpus, only bodies eidolon. Pine-scented hush of the glove compartment. In your device, a person spies the bridge in flames, then flees. So old school, the photo in its bath. Peace. If no more one without the other, could peace and war be a co-presence? Peace and war, a co-presence, one hand holding another, a metaphysics, their separateness, a reality one can no longer touch. We flock to, inflate, death's impatiences. And now I'll read 3 of the war poems. War 1. This was the war for secrets. Were women allowed, could anyone tell in the marl already sucked, infinity's androgyny was clipping wild ferns for sustenance and being antiphonal too, a soprano to a baritone, a call and a response. Horses wore gas masks, camels carried the infirm, mules tried, elephants broke rubble with their trunks, pigeons messaged, cats ate rats, canaries died or chirped back. Stubby was the dog who could salute. Fly swarms at Gully Beach, my fathers were once happy men, boy childs, posing in their swim trunks, back to back, clasping hands, spitting river water up out of their mouths like a public fountain, with force through their teeth for more height. The water dripped melon flow down the chin, the maps they folded, curled sight, furled time, to try to guide this power to the next power. I slept beneath the pelt, typed the report. I was a daughter willing to speak in anyone's father lingo. Miscreants, brotherly cocks, ghost-colored cocks grown ashy in the fields, the muscled legs, arms strewn in the forest, the jungle, the beach. The disarray of death was in the dissolution of the uniform. I was the daughter, I had no definitive location, seeking honor in the crisp peaks of my nurse cap. I began to straighten in the corpse fields. I picked up escalation. I covered hallucination with dirt. I released Eden. Like the earth, I had tidal loyalties. Wherever I walked, the body parts, the pigment, the bending grasses, I knew I was a speck in the cosmos, in every hour's dry, complicated hair. And this is War 3. This one's not talking. Cyclops in the black box theater, dim to climb today. Earthworn, sun-orbited, neo-benchy actors we were who spoke in black leotards and shark skin suits. Now we just want a little audience engagement. So we ask others, to file in, report, respond, dub, or go numb before hoods, over heads, over heels. If today you die, if tomorrow brings lyric, vulva cloud takes the tree, the whiteness of the page seeping through or up so as to not get ahead of the perceptions. Green grass leaking copper, oranging the tree, the rain a saline for the siren's eyes. If tomorrow brings lyric, if lyric is new fossil energy, theatrics in the black box, Medusa's mortal locks, snakeless, set free behind us. If tomorrow brings lyric, if lyric is new fossil, we have the energy. And I'll close with War 4. So quiet. Seems like everyone's just forgotten how to do it. In a mixture of rains, fog, torn pieces of wool, everyone's lost their fangs. Imagine it. Love thy neighbor. Love thy don't get snatched up in metaphor. Pearls on a black dress, a green blouse, down the pressed trousers. How in love with you I am, stag, wolf, a primrose begun near volcanic inactivity. In the flat lands, a weapon, a lysum candelabra left on the bar floor. And mouthless, only hounds on earth left to answer when the world calls. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nabil Shaibi, and this is a poem I recently wrote called Words, Words, Words. Words, words, words. What more can we say? What more do you need to know? What else must you see before this nightmare ends? 70,000 tons of bombs dropped, 44,000 dead, 10,000 missing, 100,000 injured and maimed, 17,000 children killed, 60% of homes destroyed, 85% of schools flattened, 65% of farms ruined, 3,500 dead in Lebanon. Let me help you update this bristling list. What time is it now on the clock of genocide? They had a home. They had a land. They had an olive tree. They had a family. They had a mother. They had a father. They had a past. But remorse is a garbled language you do not speak. Your terrifying lust never ends. We got the message. Your weapons are mighty and your vengeance is a spectacle. Your drones, your planes, your caterpillar bulldozers are machines of unspeakable dread. The reserves of your arsenal have no end. We heard this before. They promised to smoke them out of their caves like rats, but it never ends well. Ask the ghost of Iraq and Afghanistan. You made your point. Can you store your bombs now so the dead can be mourned? Can you call back your pilots so the children can stop trembling? Can you land your drones so birds can sing again? Can you hold your fire to save your soldiers from yet another diabolical thrill? Since nothing and nobody can stop you, can you find it within you to stop you? Or has that voice died in you? Do not listen to me. You've never listened to someone like me. Heed the call of your own, those who warn you about how history will remember you, those you shame by sabotaging their memory. You call them self-hating Jews. I call them the best Jews among you. You speak only for you, they speak for everyone. Tell me, America, tell me, world, when you knew, what did you do? When you saw, what did you do? Remember, these questions will haunt you and haunt all of us, just as they haunted another silent generation before us. Your excuse will not hold. Your omissions today will be remembered as a deadly commission. And as the Egyptian Canadian journalist and novelist Omar al-Aqad said so well about the war in Palestine, one day, when it's safe, when there is no personal downside to calling a thing what it is, when it's too late to hold anyone accountable, everyone will have always been against this. Maybe then we will write and read lank acknowledgments for Palestine. The darkness will lift as memories of genocide subside and guilt is quieted by the inevitability of the past. Words then will feel like a farce, an outrageous debris of a brutal colonial legacy, a petty performance of shame in the wake of long-standing crime. Ask the Native American who has waited 500 years for a spectacle of words masquerading as justice, guilt, and shame. Is this what remains after a genocide? The world is too cruel to expect symbols on a page to smooth over the ruthless roughness of empire, to close the cracks of the sins of injustice, submerged by the unrelenting comfort of innocence and the privilege of ignorance. What good does it do to talk when words are dulled by the privilege of ignorance? How else can we understand each other in the age of rogue vocabularies? How can we live together when we continue to demean one another? Why use our breath so casually while others must plead to breathe? How do we keep talking, explaining, clicking, scrolling, witnessing when the knee is always on somebody's neck? Why remember? Why historicize when memory is only for forgetfulness? Who will tell us to shut up when our voices taunt our own conscience? Is it too late to listen to anything when words trigger, but it's okay to watch bombs explode on Twitter? Palestinian poet Fadi Joudah speaks of an unfinished business, an endless reoccurrence of violence against the Palestinian, and a present where genocide and ethnic cleansing unfurl ceaselessly. He says, I write for the future because my present is demolished. I fly to the future to retrieve my demolished present as a legible past, to see what isn't hard to see in a world that doesn't. But the future carries the wounds of the present as a predictable sequel. The future is already condemned as we wait for your aha moment, as we worry whether you will find your conscience today or tomorrow or never. The child about to be buried under the rubble, shielded by a terrified mother, cannot wait for your epiphany to be saved. This is what writing in the hour of live-streamed genocide looks like. I refuse to write anything else until the killing stops. I must write for life, or I will turn into a monster. I'm lending my words to cheer for life for everyone. Anything else is a brutal distraction on the way to total extermination. Dear reader, I don't know who you are or whether these words will rhyme in your heart. I don't know if there is a we in the you I've been using. If you're still listening, can you ask yourself, what can I really do to save a life today from the river to the sea? I do not wish to address you like this, but as the artist Fargo Tabaki says, nobody should get out of our work feeling purged, clean, Nobody should live happily during the war. Silence is a slow burning spell. It is a slow killing spell. Stop scrolling and start saving.